Welcome. Today in science, we're going to be elaborating on gravity. We are going to investigate the relationship between mass and a planet's orbit. We're going to go back to something we were working on earlier in the week. So now we've learned, what exactly gravity is, what variables like increasing mass or decreasing mass, how that affects the gravitational force that objects experience. And today we're going to investigate exactly what that looks like in our solar system. So this will take a moment to load. It is a Jamboard, and so those do not load correctly inside of Canvas. You actually have to click the link to open it. You're going to be using the gravity and orbit simulation. So you got to make sure and click to open that. I can't link things on a Jamboard, so you're going to have to open that separately. Okay? So let me jump to the Jamboard. It has your instructions. Gravity and orbits, gravitational forces. Did you know all objects with mass have gravity, even a small ball? The larger the object, the more observable the effects of gravity become. Today, we're going to investigate how the masses of Earth, Moon, and Sun affect their orbital paths. You're going to start by making a prediction to answer the investigation question. Your investigation question is right here. How do the masses of the Earth, Moon, and Sun affect their orbital paths? Please answer right here. Make a prediction. This should be in a complete sentence. Next up, you're going to go to the PhET gravity and orbit simulation. Like I said before, I can't link things on a Jamboard. It doesn't work. So that's why I have the link on the Canvas assignments. You don't have to get the link from there. You can also just search for it and then it should come up easily. You're going to, once you're on the simulation, it says select model and set the simulation to Sun and Earth. Check the gravity force checkbox and check the path checkbox. Press play and make observations. Now, so far, this is exactly like what we already did together last Tuesday in class. I'm going to make sure I have the gravity checked, the path checked, and you can set it to fast speed if you want, but I kind of like just having it on normal because I have a hard time stopping it because it goes so fast. And we're going to observe this. If you want it to speed up, you can, or leave it on normal. But we're going to observe what is happening when we have the settings just showing the gravity force. I can see that in blue. I can see the path. I have a sun and have an earth. And I'm going to go back to my Jamboard and record my observations. Then we're going to start recording some more detailed information. Okay, so let me show you how to do this because you're going to use this trick throughout the investigation. So on the simulation, it says to pause and use the sun and the earth reset button. Set the star mass to our sun and press play. Then make observations and record your data. Notice on the data table, the type of data it's asking for is days to make one full orbit and then to draw the orbital path. So let me get started on this with you. So right now, I'm kind of leaving it exactly how it was, okay? And I'm watching to see how this is the place right here where it's going to come back to. And I'm going to make sure I know, okay, when my line comes back. And I'm just going to leave my cursor right there because I know that pathway sometimes starts disappearing. So I know as soon as my Earth hits this point again, I need to look down and see how many days that was because I have to record that information on the data table. And so right there was at 365 days. You can do that in different ways. It might be easier for you to just click pause when you see it. And here's the thing. We might not get it exactly perfect, and that's okay. So I'm going to grab a sticky note or a text box to type it in. So 365 days was the length of the orbit. That's how long it took to make one full orbit. So that goes in my first data box for our sun and earth. And then I'm going to draw the orbital path. So I'm going to grab a pen. It's probably the best tool to use. I'm going to draw the sun. Actually, I want to do this one in highlighter. I know your pictures won't be perfect. I know some of you are better at this than me for sure, from what I've noticed. And I'm going to do the earth in blue. And then I'm going to draw the orbital path. That was the instructions to draw the orbital path. I'm going to do my very best, and knowing it's probably not going to be perfect. So I'm doing my very best to simulate what I saw. And yuck, I don't love that. Remember, you can always erase. I don't like how I swung out too far right there, because to me, it looks like I'm staying pretty constant, my distance from the sun, the entire time. So let me try and clean that up just a little bit. Okay, I'm a lot more happy with that drawing. It's still not perfect, but I'm cool with that. Okay, so next up, I can see it says to pause, reset, and then set the star mass to 0.5. And that's the next thing on my data table. So I'm going to do that one with you. I'm going to reset right here. I'm going to set my sun to 0.5. And then I am going to press play. And I'm going to make sure and stop it as soon as I need to know how many days it took right here. Well, maybe. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to let it play for a little bit and see what happens. I'm going to speed it up, see if I can get that Earth back. Now the path has entirely disappeared. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so I can see it's still heading off. I'm now at 500 and 600 days. But I do know that sometimes, remember, we learned some of the planets do take a really long time to journey around the sun. So I'm going to let it go for a little longer. It does say return objects there. So I'm thinking this is a malfunction. Not a malfunction with it, but in me and my input data. So when I set the star mass to 0.5, things did not work out. I apparently did not have enough force to hold on to my Earth. So I'm going to go back and record my data. Oops. So you can also use the text box on this if you want to record your data. The planet flew off into space and never came back. Make sure you shrink these down so it fits. And then drawing the orbital path once again, I'm going to grab, I'm going to make my sun.
Harper and Cooper Edmondson, front car, please.
And
front car, please.
And this time, I got to draw. I lost it. I lost my Earth. Went somewhere out like that. Gone. Never came back. Okay, so I'm going to do the same process. Now I'm going to change my sun to 1.5 and 2.0. On the next slide, this time I'm going to do the same process again, but this time, look, I'm changing the Earth. And let's make sure we're recording right here. We're going to record the number of days it takes to make a full orbit once again and draw that orbital path. Okay, now we're going to change the simulation up just a little bit. This time, we are going to change it to the sun, Earth, and the moon. So I'm going to head back over to the simulation. I'm going to reset. I'm actually just going to reset everything. And I'm going to go to the next one down. Now I have a moon. First step, I'm just going to press play, and I'm going to watch what happens. Oh, make sure you have gravity on and the path. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So I can see that the gray path is still tracking the Earth, and then the purple is tracking the moon. And I'm going to let it go all the way around before I make my observations. I'm going to record those observations of what I'm seeing right here on my Jamboard notebook. Okay, then on the next page, you're going to make some changes. So leave the same simulation. You're leaving the moon in it, okay? And we're going to, record our observations and draw the orbital path of what we see. So this is just what is already set to by default. And then I'm going to change the star mass. I'm going to drop it down. So I'm going to reset it, and I'm going to drop the star mass down to 0.5 and press play and see how that affects I'm not gonna give it away entirely. I'm gonna describe what I see this time. You don't have to do the number of days and draw the orbital path. Okay, and I do that for the sun at 1.5 and 2.0. Then you answer the conclusion questions. How does changing the mass of the star affect the orbit of the planet? How does changing the mass of the planet affect the planet's orbit? And how does changing the mass of the star affect the orbit of the moon? Okay, so that is your science for today. You actually will have a little bit of time on Friday to finish this up. So if you get to the end of science time today and you're like, I didn't finish, that's okay. You'll have a little bit of time tomorrow. Okay, I will see you later. Bye-bye.